And when we're talking about these guys, these content creators that have been getting away with murder, I don't think Aaron Parnas gets nearly enough scrutiny for the things that he's done. For those who still don't know, Aaron Parnas is the son of Lev Parnas, who was in Trump's inner circle for a number of years, is now in federal prison, and his son, who was working with the GOP alongside him for a number of years, somehow figured out a way to sucker Democrats into supporting his cause. Again, I have no sympathy for liberals. They're not as smart as they think they are. This kid's been making a shitload of money off of what has been going on, not just what happened with the Wired story. This is a guy who has been as in support of the war in Ukraine as anyone I have ever seen. And he's also somebody who is as big of a Zionist scumbag as you could possibly get. Unabashedly so. But here's what he had to say about getting his hand caught in the cookie jar.
To take a minute and debunk some important misinformation. Many of you have commented about this article that came out in the Wired, asking if I've sold out, if I've taken money to push political talking points. The answer is no. Number one, this group never paid me for any content. This group never had control over any of my content.
What did they pay you for then? Because they think you're a handsome devil and they just want to see you on camera?
They never told me who to interview, what to say, or what not to say. They never once said you can't report on an issue. This group is a public cohort.
Oh, so what you're saying is that you just naturally love Israel and are in favor of genocide of the Palestinians. Okay, well, that's even better. Thank you for being completely transparent. They don't even have to pay you to be an inhuman piece of shit. You just naturally are. Well, you learned from somebody who clearly knew how to taught you well. Surprised you haven't ended up in his shoes yet, but you're still young. There's time.
Nothing was secret. And the point of it was to mentor smaller creators so that they can grow and that they can monetize their platform. And just like I've given speeches in the past or I've mentored other creators in the past, this was no different. This had nothing to do with politics, had nothing to do with a political party, and had no control over the content that I ever made. And even the article writer, Taylor Lorenz, admits that. Aaron is correct that Chorus didn't pay them to post specific content. Now, she talks about disclosure requirements.
You know, I've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. This is just as George Carlin said for years and years and years. You do not need a grand conspiracy of people telling you what you can say and what you can't say. The reason that they don't say anything is because they know what the score is. They know exactly what you can talk about and what you can't talk about. They don't need to tell you what to say. They sought you out because you do exactly as you're told. You know exactly what the score is. You know exactly what's allowed and what isn't allowed. They don't need to tell you what to say. You're a corporate talking head. You just happen to be on independent media, not on national television. Not like they would put you on there anyway, but you're doing the job for them. And so it's not surprising that you're coming out here saying they didn't control our content. Again, they didn't need to.
But there was no payment for content, and so there was nothing to disclose. What this article is advocating for is that any of you have to disclose where you work, what you do for a living, how much you make, and who your CEO is. That means I have to disclose that a bar prep company has paid me to help grade bar exam essays. But I want to make clear that if there was ever a situation where a quote-unquote dark money group tried to pay me to push a narrative, I'd say absolutely not. But that hasn't stopped this online firing squad from emerging. And it's funny, the people that are attacking me online are traditional journalists who are threatened by the work that I do.
No one is threatened by the work that you do. We laugh at the work that you do because you are connected to the highest levels of our shadow government. Again, who is this kid's father? If you don't know who Lev Parnas is, then just look him up. That's his kid. All the connections that he has in government, in business, they all go to him. He's a high-priced lawyer. This kid is now a high-priced lawyer in Washington, D.C. Him. He is. This sawed-off little prick is a high-priced lawyer in Washington, D.C. We're going to get to all his dirty little secrets in a minute, but let's finish out what he has to say.
And also bad faith actors who have spent their entire last 2 years that I've been on this platform attacking me. So I'm not going to stop. And I want you to know that if you have any questions, comment them below. I'll answer all of them.
No, you won't. But I'll tell you who will. Jasmine Crockett is out there cheering this guy on. It's funny. We had Jasmine Crockett on multiple times, and it's amazing how much things change. Once you start to go for the brass ring on Capitol Hill, you can see the change coming a mile away. We just got verification that we're correct. Again, didn't need information to prove that we were right. But I'll tell you who does have that information. Friend of the show, the guy that we all know and love, Guy Christensen, sharing all the dirty little details about Aaron Parnas. Here it is.
Talk about Aaron Parnas. He's one of the biggest political voices and biggest grifters on this app, who's a secret Zionist and also comes from a disgraced family from Trump's inner circle. This is the story of Aaron Parnas. Aaron's got a few million followers on this app, and you might have seen his videos. He posts the breaking news and regurgitates headlines that pop up on his phone notifications. He offers no additional context, no nuance, no interpretation to any of these breaking news headlines. He taps the notification on his phone and spits it back into his video camera as fast as possible so he can monetize the work of real journalists.
That's actually one of the dirtiest little secrets about what Parnas does and what a lot of these other guys do. They build up these audiences and they do breaking news like they're the ones actually doing it. But what they're really doing is grabbing whatever headlines are being shown to them, going on, making a quick video and taking credit for it and never acknowledging the actual journalist who was doing the work. And remember, a lot of it is tainted information anyway. Remember, he blew up not just by being a Democratic Party talking head, but being a person who was a heavy promoter of the war in Ukraine, heavy promoter of endless war and of support for the Ukrainian cause, that Russia is really the Soviet Union. You get it. It's all the same bullshit. What we've said from jump, we'll say it again. The only reason why there is a war in Ukraine is because there is about 7 trillion at least in natural resources in the western part of that country. And we want to control it, which is why we want to suck them into NATO. Putin said that's not happening. Henceforth, now he has to go in and take over part of the country, not justifying the invasion. But if you can't understand how it happened, you're just not paying attention. But to the average person who follows politics in the United States, they're not capable of comprehending these details. And frankly, they don't have the time and they don't really want to. They want to play on the team. The team blue says support Ukraine. That's why he does this. And then sure enough, was doing the exact same thing for the Democrats when it came to Gaza and supporting Israel and denigrating Palestine. So again, no surprises here. Guy has more to say.
Now, Aaron puts out lots of videos every single day. I mean, the news flies, right? But you will never really hear him talk about anything happening in Gaza, anything happening with U.S. policy when it comes to Palestine. He won't talk about student protesters, Mahmoud Khalil, the Freedom Flotilla, none of it. Because he is a Zionist. Let's watch one video he made in December 2023.
I want to make something clear. I am pro-Israel. I am pro-Palestine. I am just anti-Hamas, which is where we all should be. Unfortunately, the Palestinians have been living under a terrorist regime for far too long, and Hamas's actions have led to where we are.
The reason Aaron made that video in the first place was because he was crying that people are asking him to talk about Gaza. He was saying, I'm just one person. I can't do everything. There is no such thing as being both pro-Israel and pro-Palestine. You either side with the oppressors or you side with the oppressed. There's no in between. There's no both. You can't support concentration camps and also care about the people in the concentration camps. You can't support the Palestinian paramedics, but then also support the people who bombed all the hospitals, who target ambulances, who targeted 15 paramedics in the middle of the night, hid their bodies in a mass grave, and buried the ambulances with bulldozers so Western media wouldn't discover it. I think it's so shameful that Aaron gets to profit and monetize other journalists' work, posing as left-leaning, posing as somebody who is an ally, when truly he sides with the oppressors. When you
could not have said it better. That is exactly what the issue is here. As I've said, you can listen to certain people push their content and hear what they have to say. And lo and behold, you're asking yourself, what exactly is it that they're doing that is making them so appealing to so many people? There's really not much there. At least with certain channels, certain conversations, like I get why Joe Rogan blew up. I get why Theo Vaughn has blown up. I get why Joey Diaz is such a popular guy. Heck, if you guys haven't heard Leonardo Joni, I know why she's blowing up. People like Aaron Parnas, they only blow up because they're connected with the machine. There's nothing there. He's probably less of a personality than even David Pakman, if that's even possible. But again, we can see why. Those connections run deep.
You have a political creator who posts as many videos as Aaron does, who intentionally leaves out reporting on the suffering that the United States is responsible for of the Palestinian people, who intentionally ignores the news on the pro-Palestinian movement in the United States that disrupts our election and schools and all this other sorts of our life and culture in this country. That is not just being one person who can't cover everything. That's intentional suppression. That is a misinformed narrative that he's putting out. And a lot of people seem to think that he's like anti-MAG, anti-Trump, because he talks a lot about Trump. But what the truth is that he has a personal vendetta against Trump. His dad, Lev Parnas, was in Trump's inner circle, who was part of the attempt to oust the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. He funneled illicit campaign money through shell companies. He defrauded investors and is in jail for it. He also created the conspiracy theory that Biden was holding Ukrainian stocks and was going to sell them after he left office. And that's why Biden was funding Ukraine so much. Somebody else said this. It wasn't me who said it first, but Aaron Parnas would be at Mar-a-Lago having drinks with Trump with his pop, who would still be in Trump's inner circle had that never happened.
Yep.
But now he comes from a disgraced political family and has turned to regurgitating real journalism's work on this app and giving a biased narrative to us all. Like, trust me, by this point in time, if things had gone differently, you would see him on Fox News, you would see him on the Daily Wire and stuff like that already.
Couldn't agree more. In fact, if you really pay attention to how Parnas does his thing, you would think he was a mega guy, like make Israel great again, Israel first guy that is in that super Zionist contingent, although granted, it exists in both political parties. He just figured out a way to monetize it. That's about it. There's nothing unique about him. And unfortunately, there's a lot of money to go around in the ultra-liberal class. They love this shit. Just say something bad about Trump. That's all they had to do. And he figured out a way to use all of the tools that were provided to him by his daddy and all the connections that came with it. And he's built himself quite a platform. But here's a guy who was in South Florida, who was in those Democratic Party groups with people that we knew. You think he lifted a finger to help Jen when she ran for Congress against Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Not a fucking finger was lifted. He knew. We asked him, but we knew he was full of shit. And boy, was he ever. So you can see why. Same with David Hogue. It's the same thing. When you are exposed, when people show you who they really are, believe them, because that is who they are.
It's possible he has a change of heart. You don't ever hear any nuance from him on his platform, though. He doesn't give any nuance. He doesn't add anything. He doesn't create any value, journalistic value, to any of the stories he sensationalizes. I think it's insane that he's able to be such a big left-leaning voice on this platform while he supports genocide. It's just something that they're incompatible things. He's not an ally. He's just not. He's looking out for his own interests. I hope some people learn this for the first time about Aaron and realize that he's not really a person to follow. He's not an ally. He's a genocide supporter and enabler. And
that's it. And that's all you need to know. Genocide supporter, enabler, Zionist scumbag of the highest order, who again is only there because of the connections he has through his father, who was directly connected to Trump and his inner circle. And that's how this works.